For the time-pressed executive. It began with the story of a German businessman who had recently spent $110,000 on a flash 28-day commercial expedition, which had got him to the summit with 5 days to spare, before going on to list several companies offering premium trips to the world's highest mountain. The most luxurious was a Nepali company, 7 Summit Treks, who were selling a $130,000 VVIP package that included helicopter flights from Kathmandu to within 3 days of the mountain, as well as a mid-expedition recuperative escape to a 5-star hotel. The VVIP package included a 1-to-1 mountain guide to client ratio and the services of 3 Sherpas, a personal cook and a photographer. It was, as their website proclaimed, specially designed for those who want to experience what it feels like to be on the highest point on the planet and have strong economic background to compensate for your old age, weak physical condition, or your fear of risks. What, you wonder, would Hillary and Tenzing, the first men to reach the summit, have made of 7 Summits package? Or, going further back, what would George Mallory, the Galahad of Everest, have thought? When, in 1923, Mallory was pressed by a reporter from the New York Times to explain why anyone would risk their life on Everest, he replied cryptically, "Because it's there." Is today's answer, "Because I can afford to"? Or, "Because I've got 2 weeks in May between business conferences and a hostile takeover"? It's quite extraordinary to write a sentence like that, but there's no doubt that over the last 30 years, Everest's reputation has changed. Long queues of climbers on the Lhotse Face, lurid tales of frozen corpses and piles of high-altitude trash. Even the mountain itself seems to be in rebellion, with the Hillary Step, one of Everest's most famous features, collapsing in 2017. Today, for many mountaineers, Everest has become a symbol of excess and greed, a playground for the rich and occasionally foolish, the ultimate trophy mountain, instead of the ultimate challenge. It was not always thus. When Everest was first measured in the mid-19th century, it was thought to be so high that no one could survive on its summit. Even in the autumn of 1920, when a reconnaissance expedition was proposed, the respected mountaineer Sir Martin Conway told the Daily Chronicle that the climbing difficulties were so great it was unlikely Everest would ever be conquered. "Its formation is unknown," he said. "It has not been mapped. Nothing is really known about it." 10 months later, when the reconnaissance was complete, the returning climbers were little more confident. Lecturing at the Queen's Hall in London shortly afterwards, George Mallory told a packed audience that, just before he left Tibet, he'd asked his climbing partner, Guy Bullock, what he thought the chances were of reaching the top. After considerable reflection, Bullock had replied, 50-1 against. This book is about what happened next. It tells the story of the very first attempt on Everest in 1922 and the shocking events at its climax. Though, in a very literal sense, 1922 was Everest's expedition, in recent years it has been overlooked, with much of the historical and literary attention focused on the second British attempt in 1924 and its still controversial ending. Arguably, though, the 1922 expedition is more important. It set the style of big expedition, siege-style mountaineering, with large teams and multiple camps, which would persist for decades to come. It marked the beginning of the oxygen controversy that would dog Himalayan expeditions until the 1970s. It created the link between the Sherpa people and Everest, which has turned their name into a global brand. And it elevated George Mallory into an international hero, whose actions and writings have become a crucial part of Everest's mythology. For principal source material, I have drawn upon the thousands of mostly